Let's face it, there are a ton of expenses we all have when it comes to pro wrestling, from food to gym memberships to new gear to fake tan to fuel to so on and so on. And it would be lovely to have a way to combat those costs. Yes, there typically isn't much money in professional wrestling at the independent level, but that doesn't mean you can't be smart about your revenue streams. In this episode, I'm going to talk about all the ways that you can make a little bit of pocket money out of your pro wrestling career. You know, the truth is you're probably not going to make much from any one stream of income or any one endeavor. So I think it's important to set up multiple passive streams of income, things that you still set up, but they can kind of work while you're sleeping. They just continually raise money and they just sit there and keep building. And there's plenty of ways to do that. The first one, the most common one, the most obvious one is merchandise. And merchandise is something that most people have. I find they have a shirt, they have two shirts, maybe some 8x10s, and they put them at the merch stand. Maybe they stand there, try to shill them, and that's kind of where it ends. Now, in the modern day and age, you'll find that there are a lot of ways to sell merch without doing it in person, because when you're just selling merch at the merch table, yes, that's a great way to engage with your fans, but at the same time, people who can't make those shows are now completely eliminated from buying it altogether. I have an online service called Merch Bunny. They're based in Melbourne, and they basically make my shirts for me, to the point where I don't have to spend a single cent. They produce them, they print them, they ship them out, they do all the posting, and I just accept the money that comes in. Now, yes, these kinds of print-on-demand services do take a cut, could be anywhere from 30, 40, 50, 60%, but at the same time, there's no work, there's no risk. And those fans of yours who can't go to shows, who live interstate, live overseas, they can easily access your merchandise whenever they want. Another benefit is you can put up multiple designs and it really doesn't cost you any extra. But obviously it's great to sell things at the shows you're on as well, because people will see your work and they'll want to support your work. At the very least, they might impulse buy an item because they feel compelled to do so from the tremendous match you just put on in front of them. T-shirts are always a good one. Now, when it comes to profit margins, or if we're looking at the cost to produce stock and then sell stock, even though shirts often cost quite a bit, like in Australia, you're probably looking at about $20 per shirt to make a decent quality shirt. I'm not talking about, cheap knockoffs from other countries, but to make a shirt locally, get it screen printed locally, roughly $20. You might sell it for $40. And even though that's 50% of your costs gone immediately, and you have to sell 50% of your stock to break even, that's still $20 you're making back per shirt, which is quite a lot. I'm big on having something at every price point. So if your shirt is a $40 item, then it'd be good to have items that are maybe $20, $10, $5. So personally, I use 8x10s. These are a little bit cheaper to print. You're probably only looking at $1 to $2 per 8x10 that you can then sign. You can sell for $10. So yes, there is a higher percentage of profit margin, but you're only making $8 per 8x10. So if you're selling lots of them, fantastic. If you're not selling many, well, then the shirts still have a lot of benefit. And then you can look at even cheaper items, things like stickers, like cards, $5. You might only pay anything from 50 cents to $1 to make them. Again, high percentage of profit, but you do have to sell a lot of them to make the same kind of cost that you're getting from shirts. So having a little bit of everything's good. It also means the kid that comes to the show that's only got $5 on him, or mum doesn't want to shout him $40 for a new black tee, he can buy something, he can still support your work, and you can still make a little bit of money off that too. And I know that others have also played around with getting items that maybe aren't so typical. I've seen people print plush figures, I've seen people print chocolate bars, lucha masks. These kinds of things, if you feel like are missing from the merch stand, can be a fantastic option. I guess the only downside is you often have to buy them in bulk, anywhere from 50 to 100. So if you don't feel like you're going to sell them, it may not pay off. But again, it's always good to think outside the box. And make sure that whatever you produce, you're marketing. Don't just put them on the merch stand and expect them to sell themselves. Create banners that promote your price points. Go on social media and promote them there. Create a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of hype behind what you're doing. If you're enjoying these videos and want to support me in making bigger and better content just like this, make sure you head over to my worldbeaterwrestling.com Patreon. It's a community for pro wrestlers, current and aspiring, a place of networking, collaboration, and exclusive learning content to help you on your pro wrestling journey. Anyway, back to the video. The next one is match fees. I don't have a lot to say about this, but just be smart with what you're doing. Don't undercut yourself. If you're not sure how much to charge, try to get a measure from other people who wrestle for that promotion or are at the same level you're at. You know, it's not about draining a promoter for everything they're worth, but it is hard sometimes to understand what you're worth. And yes, this is a passion project for most of us. We do it as a hobby. I would say that 95% would probably do it for free. But like I said before, we do have costs, and if you want to invest in yourself, you need money to do so. And the next one is sponsorships. This is pretty tough to do unless you have a decent social media following. So if you don't, that's the first place to start. If you want to get supplement sponsorships, if you want to get affiliate discount codes, you will often need a base level anywhere from 5 to 10,000 followers on a single social media outlet. And how do you get those 5,000 followers? That's a whole nother deep dive that I'll probably take in the near future. But for now, it's about consistency. It's about putting the time and effort in. It's about understanding your analytics, understanding what's resonating, and trying to figure out what people want to see. The next one is collector's items. So I'm talking about selling old gear. Now, I don't have my head in the sand. I understand that a lot of people who might want to buy your gear are not buying it as a collector's item. I get it. So look, this is your decision to make if you want to go down that path. But some people do just appreciate having an old jacket, an old pair of trunks, some old boots from their favorite pro wrestler. You can usually make quite a bit of money off this, and they're things that you are probably never going to use again anyway. So what's the difference between keeping them in storage and letting one of your biggest fans have something to remember you by? The next one is private sessions and seminars. So private sessions when it comes to training in your local school, whether you're a coach or not, even if you're not a coach, if you feel like you've got something to offer, you've got some experience, you've been around for a while, you've built a bit of respect and equity, well, you may have something that people actually want to buy, and that's your service, your one-on-one support, your one-on-one attention. These days, we see training schools such as mine where there's just a lot of trainees. So you'll go to a class and there could be anywhere from 15 to 25 trainees in a session. So they're not really getting that singular focus. So if you can provide that and charge money for your service, that's another good way to make a little bit of pocket money back. When it comes to seminars, this is more for when you travel, and I think it's a great way to get more bookings. If you're going to go interstate or overseas, it's going to be quite a big cost for the promoter when it comes to flights, potential accommodation. But I found that if you can approach it by wanting to cut a deal with a seminar, where maybe they take 50% of the seminar income, then they can sometimes pay off those flights and pay off those costs before you've even wrestled. So 50% does sound like a lot, but hey, if you can get 10 to 20 wrestlers who are all paying maybe $50, $60 each, that works out to a decent chunk of money if you're taking 50%. And then I've worked out deals in the past where I've said to the promoter, hey, I'll fly myself in, I'll buy my own accommodation, but give me 100% of the seminar fees. And usually that will pay off the accommodation. It'll pay off the flights. You'll have a little bit of extra money and you might still get your match fees. So be open-minded. You can work out little deals, but just think about how you can help out their scene, their promotion in other ways more than just wrestling on the show. The next one is acting. And look, if we think of short films or independent films, you're probably not going to get paid much, if anything at all, but it is a great experience that can help with your pro wrestling. And often they do look for pro wrestlers. There have been many times where big major films from Marvel, for example, I know Mortal Kombat came to Adelaide as well, where they've actually come and approached pro wrestling schools and asked for us to apply, because I guess they think that pro wrestlers are of a certain stature, they're of a certain level of experience, and that's what they want for a very small role. So if acting is something that interests you, another good way that you could make a little bit of money. And finally, we'll look at monetizing your social media. And as I said before, you generally need a base level of followers first, but it isn't a whole lot. It's not too difficult to monetize if you've been putting a bit of consistency in. So when it comes to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, if you've got them all running at the same time, you're posting videos to the same places, whether it's training videos, whether it's vlogs, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel comfortable doing or excites you, do it, build up your fan base. You might get a few dollars here and there, and that can build up over time. Again, when it comes to passive income, these things can generate income even after you've stopped producing videos. And even if you do monetize your socials and they're not really gaining much money in the short term, which is very likely, almost guaranteed, at the very least, you're building your fan base, you're building those numbers up, you're expanding your network. I've met so many people just through putting out reels who are promoters, bookers, trainers in other countries that have led to me working over there, that have led to them working over here. So I don't see a lot of downside other than the amount of effort that it takes. And of course, you can look at your paid services like Patreon. If you are offering a service and you're willing to be consistent with it, which is the number one thing, then that's another good way to make money from your fans who want to support you and want to buy your service. So those are all the ways that I suggest that you can make a little bit of income in pro wrestling to support your cause. At the end of the day, it's not about being money bags, it's not about being greedy. It's about being able to invest back in your own craft to improve your own self in the long run. Let me know what you thought. Drop your comments in the box below, and I'll see you next week for another episode of World Beater Wrestling.